I've hit a drive in the fairway. The problem is it's in the wrong fairway. So what we're going to talk about today is how to control your trajectory. So we'll talk about how to hit a shot a little higher and then how to hit a shot a little lower, maybe under the trees. So stay tuned if this is something that you've always wanted to know how to do. Okay, so for this one, I obviously have to hit the ball a little bit higher. I've got some trees in front of me. So a couple things that you want to do before you swing, and then there's going to be one thing when you swing that you want to change. So before you swing, make sure you're picking a club that has enough loft to get over whatever you're trying to hit it over, okay? That might mean that you may not be able to hit a club that gets you all the way to the green. In this one, I've got quite a bit of room between me and the trees, so I'm just gonna hit my normal 7-iron shot. I'm just gonna basically do something in my setup to help me hit it a little higher. So instead of the way that I would normally address it, which would be that golf ball maybe slightly ahead of center of my stance, I'm just gonna move that ball closer to my lead foot. So maybe instead of having it a club head behind or on the inside of my lead toe, it'll be like half of a club head. So maybe move it just a ball forward. That's gonna help me add a little bit of loft to this club, help me hit the ball a little higher. Then when I actually swing, what I wanna do is I wanna make sure I have a nice and high finish with my hands and my body. So the higher that I can finish with my hands and the higher that I can finish with my body, that's gonna help me add a little bit of speed and essentially help me create a little bit more spin. And the more spin I have, that's gonna be more lift. So let's see if I can pull this one off for you, and then we'll talk about how to hit one lower. So set up, basically just move it slightly forward in my stance. You're still gonna have the rightward tilts of your shoulders. The handle doesn't have to lean quite as far forward. So the handle's gonna be a little straighter up. And then when I finish the swing, I'm just gonna finish nice and high. So that one just barely clipped the top of the trees. I didn't quite get that one as high as I wanted, but that would still be a pretty reasonable outcome for that type of a shot. So now let's talk about the one where you're under the trees and you gotta hit one lower. So my driver clearly isn't working today. I've found another really bad spot. Now I'm in a spot where I have to hit it really low and keep it under the tree. So a couple things here before you actually swing. First and foremost, you might want to take a lower lofted club. So instead of hitting like a normal 7-iron here, you can take something like a 6 or a 5-iron, a club with less loft. Ball's gonna launch a little lower, stay a little bit lower. That would be one way to potentially help you. The second thing you could do with your setup is you can move that ball position slightly further back in your stance. So more towards the center, or if I really have to hit it low, even more towards my trail foot. That can help me with also keeping the ball really low. You got to be careful with that though as you start getting into clubs that are maybe a lot longer, like a 5-iron or a 6-iron. If you start moving the ball too far back and taking too much loft off the club, it's going to be really hard to get it up and out of the rough, and you're going to end up basically just hitting a shot that scoots along the ground and doesn't go very far. So you gotta just keep that piece in mind. The other piece in my setup that I'll probably change, if I'm gonna go with this longer club like a 5-iron, I'll slide my hands down a little lower on the grip. That's gonna help give me a little bit more control over this club, make it easier for me to keep the trajectory down, and it's also gonna cut a little bit of a distance off of the total distance that I hit this. The final piece, when I make this swing, my finish is gonna be much lower. So instead of finishing super high with my hands and my body like I did in the shot where I was trying to hit it over the trees, with this one, I'll basically cut my finish off at basically thinking like waist high. So I'm trying to keep my hands and my club sort of stopping a lot lower in my follow through. That's gonna help keep the handle leaning more towards the target. It's gonna help keep the loft from getting added to the face. So those are the things that you wanna do in order to hit this ball low. So I've got 170-ish yards here. Got to keep it under the trees. So let's see if I can pull this off. I've got a 5-iron. I'm gonna choke down quite a bit, almost to the end of the grip. That ball is gonna be basically in the center of my stance, and then we're gonna try to finish low and see if we can run one up onto the green. So you can see how that ball came out nice and low. It's gonna land a little short, just trickle up onto the green. That was a much better shot than the one trying to go up over the tree. So if you're ever wondering how to control your trajectory, those are some good ways that you could practice this and work on that for yourself.